Welcome to week 3 of 4 of a shoulder strengthening series for baseball players. Thanks for sticking with us for the last 2 or 3 weeks. This week we're going to start to focus on developing skill by introducing exercises that require coordination and speed. These exercises should help develop a little bit more endurance, should get a little bit more tired with them as well, but they'll also help with some of the stability throughout the throwing motion. This week, the variation on the T's, the Y's, and then the external rotation over the ball that we've done for the last 2 weeks, we're going to introduce a new concept we call ball drops, and it's a way to get some good rhythmic stabilization of the shoulder, but it also introduces speed, and then you'll have to contract some muscles a little bit faster than you would when you're just doing some of the strength training. So what Austin has is he's got 2 lacrosse balls in his hands right now. Obviously at home you can use baseballs or anything that you can drop and catch fairly quickly that'll fit in your hand. He's going to go into that T position again. So again, his thumbs here are lined up with his nose. And what he's going to be doing is basically opening and closing his hands. And you won't be able to see too much movement on the video, and that's a good thing. He's trying to keep his hands fairly still, but he's moving almost like he's flapping his wings. Think about this one, you're gonna go for time, so about 30 seconds. And your goal is to try and go as fast as you can while still feeling the contraction between the shoulder blade. Your hands aren't gonna move up, down, side to side at all. They're just gonna stay right where you are. This one should feel like it's a burn. So good, that's the T. Here, Austin, take a rest. Yeah, we'll give him a second. And then as you go into the Y, right, now you're overhead again. Now this is the one where oftentimes people have trouble still feeling it between the shoulder blades. You don't want to feel it too much into the side of the neck or the top of the shoulder with this. You still want to make sure you're feeling it between the shoulder blades. But the same exact things, trying to keep the hands fairly still, open and closing, just letting the ball drop and catch. Okay? And then with the external rotation, this is the one where he's got his elbows out to the side. Good, a little bit higher than shoulder height. Right, a little bit in front of his body down towards his chest. And now on this one, the hand is going to move, but his goal is to try and keep the pointy spot of the elbow as still as possible. Right, and so hopefully the angle of that with the camera there kind of lines up nicely with his elbow. And you can tell he's trying to keep that fairly still. One thing that sometimes people do with this is that they don't bring their hand up quite high enough, and they start it kind of down here, and they're kind of dropping and catching it. One, it's going to be harder, but we want to really make sure you're trying to get into that external rotation range of motion here as you're dropping and catching. Now this one, you might feel a little bit more in the back of the shoulder, but you should still feel something between the shoulder blades engaging. So this is another variation on a plank. This one will be kind of endurance and moving at the same time. We'll get some thoracic motion here. And what you'll need is kind of a stack of items. Here right now, Austin's got a stack of 4 different plates. Really, the weight doesn't matter at all. It could be an item like a stuffed animal, different balls. Basically what he's going to be doing is he's going to be in a push-up position where he's going to be reaching through kind of the window of his arm, grabbing the weight, and then bringing it across, completing all 4 or however many you put on one side, as he kind of goes back and forth. So once he's completed this, then he'll reach through the other way. Now, a couple things what we want to point out here is he's trying to kind of reach and really kind of move his hand as far through as he can when he sets the weight down, so it makes it a little bit more challenging on himself. So he's rotating through his upper back, but not through his lower back a whole lot. And the goal here is to not let the hips shift side to side as much. So you should feel your stomach working. And then the other thing here is that as you're reaching, try not to collapse through the side that you're still resting on. So right now he's on his, okay, we're going to switch to the right hand here. So when he reaches through with the left, he's got to make sure that this side stays engaged and he stays firm on that right hand. This one should be a challenging one. And you're also increasing the amount of time under tension with this one too. You don't really get a rest. So, nice job, Austin. This is one of our favorite exercises here. What Austin's going to be demonstrating is a backwards bear crawl. So he's going to get down in a almost push-up-like position where he's got his hands on the ground and his knees are going to be right underneath his hips, but his knees aren't going to be on the ground. That's the starting position. And then what he's going to be doing is he's going to be pushing back with one hand and the same leg, or sorry, the opposite leg as he reaches. And what you really want to think about is that when you're pushing into the ground with your hand, you're really trying to extend your hand up and out as far as you can. So what you should feel is you should feel a little bit of a stretch into your lat on the side as your shoulder blade is coming up and around your rib cage. Austin is doing this, and he's only taking like 2 or 3 steps in this space just because it's limited. But at home, you want to think about going down like a long hallway, or almost do like a big circle around a larger room. And then Austin, do you mind showing them kind of the head looking straight at the camera? Because you want to make sure that as you're pushing back, you want to think about that there's a straight line here, and you're trying to keep that as still as possible as he's going back. So you shouldn't feel like your hips are rocking side to side too much. And let's see, can you show them like a bad one, where your hips are kind of swaying back and forth? And what that means is that if it's moving a lot side to side, it usually means you're not using your stomach quite as much. So I want to add a progression to the wall slide that we were doing last week. It's going to be the same thing where you're going to be going up the wall, but at the top of the motion, what you want to do is you're going to bring your arms all the way up, and then you're just going to lift your arms just a tiny bit off the wall and then back down. Now, when you're lifting off the wall, you want to feel like you're getting it, or what muscles are working are kind of between the shoulder blade. It's almost like you're tipping your shoulder blade back for the hands to come off the wall. Now, this is an easy one to do incorrectly. A lot of times people will feel it here. They're just moving at their shoulder joint, or they'll be starting to arch their back to get their hands off the wall. If you're getting your hand more than an inch or two off the wall, and you're not feeling it between your shoulder blades, see if you can kind of keep the height of your hands as you lift it off, not letting it kind of come down to the side or kind of behind you too far. See if that'll help get it between the shoulder blades. And as you are going up the wall, you're still trying to push into the wall, get your shoulder blade to move, kind of come around your rib cage as you're going up. In this exercise, you'll be taking a ball. Here we've got a big exercise ball at home. You can use one of these things. You can also use a basketball, soccer ball, volleyball, essentially anything that you can dribble on a wall. And that's what Austin's going to be doing here. So he's got his arm out to the side. Again, his elbow a little bit higher than shoulder height, a little bit more in front of the body. And what he's going to be doing here is basically dribbling the ball on the wall while trying to keep his elbow as still as possible. So as the ball is coming off the wall that way, his hand is going to be going back kind of into that end range, arm cocking position. That's really important for baseball players. So Austin, you mind doing it for 10 or 15 seconds here? And you can see as he's going how still he's keeping his elbow. He's not really doing big motions. Right now what you want to focus on is more speed than anything else and trying to keep a steady rhythm. You want to think about doing this one for time rather than how many you can do.